Stoli Group USA and Kentucky Owl, they are two spirits brands. This week they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They are the U.S.-based subsidiaries of the Stoli Group. They are responsible for Stoli Vodka, Kentucky Owl Bourbon, Bayou Rum, C-Note Tequila. They've got $84 million in debt right now. They had a number of issues that kind of led to their bankruptcy filing, including some ongoing battles with the Russian government, but also a data breach and ransomware attack back in August that caused a lot of problems. And so joining us now to talk about this and the seriousness of things like this is Matt Rose, CXO of TechRage IT in Winter Park. And Matt, that ransomware attack, that data breach really caused a lot of problems for Stoli Group that we are seeing reflected in this.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the filing and the news on it, it seems like basically it probably came at a bad time. Who knows if it was politically motivated, because it does seem like their past has some political problems over in Russia. But yeah, it came at a time, it happened in August, and they're still not fully recovered. And the filing says they don't expect to be fully recovered until early 2025. So they were crippled down to manual processes.
And manual processes in this day and age, I mean, that's like going back to the Stone Age when so much relies on computers and technology, and having to do that manually, especially for a large companies like that.
Yeah, and to me, again, not knowing the details, not being involved in this, but it strikes me that they didn't have really a good disaster recovery plan or incident response plan. That if you're going all the way back to manual processes for what, 3+ months now, depending on when in August this actually happened, it just seems like they weren't prepared. But yeah, to go back to manual process for a company of this size, or any size, must be, I can see why it's contributed to the bankruptcy.
And so what's the takeaway here for maybe business owners, likely small business owners, who really can't afford for something like this to happen, because these ransomware attacks, they don't just target large companies. We have seen it target any size company.
Yeah, I think that's the first thing to notice, is that, right now this is a pretty large company. I think I mean, this brand's been around for a long time now. I think everyone's probably heard of them. And it's more obvious they're going to make the news. We're going to talk about this right now, but this can happen to anybody. They don't care how big you are. And in fact, they know that the majority of businesses are small businesses out there. So yeah, they can go after a business of this size or bigger, but they're going to come after you. And yeah, they can't afford for this to happen. And it may seem expensive, but there are ways to protect yourself to have a better recovery before this happens. But you just need to be aware and put some time investment and monetary investment in early.
What are some of those steps that people should take?
I mean, so first and foremost, you should always be backing up any of your critical data. And again, that's the part about this story that really makes me curious, is to be down for this many months makes me wonder what kind of backups they have, or even if their backups were basically encrypted or deleted, which is common, unfortunately, in a ransomware attack if you're not protected. So having backups that you can recover from and they're tested, that's the biggest one. But then overall, just having a full actual incident response plan, talking about what you would do, how you would go forward if something happened. And maybe part of it was the manual processes, but I'm sure it wasn't manual processes for 3 or 4 months. But, backups are the number one thing. Things like security awareness training, just there's a ton of different IT security things. But again, backups to me are the one that keep coming to mind, because that's really the only way you can really recover from this. And I guess the one thing I'll throw in there that I've been thinking about is cyber insurance policies for a business are critical nowadays.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that? What a cyber insurance policy is? I'm not familiar with that, and I'm sure some of our viewers may not be either, because that is you think of car insurance, you think of homeowners insurance, but this is the 21st century, and now we're talking cyber insurance and the need for that.
Yeah, it's been around for a few years now, and for a number of years it was kind of these insurance companies were writing the policies and thinking they were making all this money, and then they've skyrocketed in price because people started collecting. So it is similar in a way. You can think of it as a car insurance policy, but for your business. And in the same way that you're telling your car insurance that you're only driving the speed limit and that you're only driving to work every day, you're not driving joy rides of 1,000 miles each way, you have to do the same thing. But with your cyber insurance policy, you go to your insurance broker, and you have to attest to things like you're doing multi-factor authentication, that you have backups, that you have some sort of an IT support or an MSP that are helping you. And they'll write you a policy that gives you various coverage for things like paying a ransom, like talking to a negotiator for the ransom, public relations, lawyers, and they'll help you out with all these things to the best of their ability, but only if you actually do what you're saying you're doing. If you have an incident happen, you go to them and then you lied on your application, just like in car insurance, they're probably not going to give you that money and you're going to be out of luck anyway.
But it's just crazy to think about having, being a business and having to have something like that. That's got to be a worse nightmare scenario to have to think about having to use those things because of a ransomware attack.
It is, and unfortunately, it's fairly standard business nowadays. A few years ago, it was kind of a new thing, and now when we go and we talk to current clients or new clients, it's one of the first questions we have. Do you have cyber insurance? If not, talk to your broker. Again, we're an IT company. We're not licensed, we can understand how to answer in basics, but your insurance broker company will tell you more about it. And they probably are already talking to you about it. And now maybe you've said no, or maybe you thought you didn't need it. But again, it's a fairly minor cost for most businesses to give you a tremendous amount of coverage. And again, you can hope you have your backups and everything like that, but this will give you some peace of mind if something were to happen.
All right, kind of the world we live in nowadays. Yeah. Matt Rose, CXO of Tech Rage IT in Winter Park, or in Winter Springs. Winter Springs.
Yep.
I said Winter Park.
Here.
Yeah,
a bunch of winters in Florida.
Right. Right. All the winter town names, just none of the winter weather, or at least not most of the time.
Not most of the time.
All right, Matt Rose, CXO of Tech Rage IT in Winter Springs. Thanks for joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Garrett.